I'm joined here with Todd Barkis, a resident of Minnetrista. Todd, how long have you been living in Minnetrista?
About 20 years right now.
20 years. Now, you've heard, I'm sure, the new project that they're doing in Minnetrista, the new police department. What are your personal feelings on this?
I think the project needed. I've seen the facilities. They need to be upgraded. The people don't have enough space. They have cables being pulled from the ceiling because they can't run them through a conduit that's in the floor or someplace else. It's just not, I don't think it's a very workable solution right now.
A lot of people have told us that they should wait a little longer to build this project and see, what the market does and whatnot, and see how things. What are your personal thoughts on that?
Well, I think they've been waiting like about 8 years, and if it wasn't a good time to do it, within the last 8 years, when's it ever going to be a good time to do it? I think now's a good time. You invest in infrastructure when rates are low and whatnot, and that's what I think it was one of the early industrialists. That's what they always did. When the market went down, they invested in their infrastructure so that when the market came back, they could really be successful.
A grassroots group called Save Minnetrista has formed in opposition to the city building project. They have a website, yard signs, and have conducted a door-to-door campaign. They have several concerns about this project. They believe that during this economic crisis, it is not the time for the city to proceed with this project. They describe this project as robbery. Primarily, they believe that the city should hold a referendum and allow the residents to vote on the project.
I see no reason to have a referendum vote on this because from the people that I've talked to, there's not that much interest. I don't think that we're going to get a majority of the people to show up to vote. I don't think it's going to be, no matter what the outcome, it's not going to be a representation of the entire community. I am frustrated when I try to talk to this Save Minnetrista group because I'm not quite sure what it is they do want. Originally, they agreed that we needed a building, but they didn't like the plan. Then they don't like the size, the location, the way that it's being financed. Now it's almost they don't want a building at all. And now I've even heard that they don't want a police department.
They also believe that the size of the project is excessive.
Well, I know there's a lot of concerns on the size of the building that's going to be, and then I know what I've been hearing is if we could scale it down, and the big thing is the people we voted into the city, like the mayor, that they said the public could have a chance to vote on it, and that's the uproar right now, that people are upset because they can't vote on this.
Now, Mr. Funk, I'm reading here that there's other cities in the area that have had similar projects to this, and no one's ever had a referendum. Why do you think the residents are calling for a referendum so hard on this project?
That's a good question, Mario. I think it really comes down to philosophy and how public facilities should be financed. You're right, generally facilities like this are not financed with referendums. City councils generally have that authority to represent their citizens, and when you look at this type of expenditure, we're talking about improving our public safety and our public works buildings, which is an essential function of what cities ought to be doing in terms of providing a service to their residents. And so generally speaking, they're not done by referendum. Where you typically see referendums are for what we call non-essential functions of government, swimming pools, potentially libraries, community centers. Those are the type of things that are considered community amenities. In our case, it's more of a public service element and a safety element.
I'm here with local resident Chuck Green from Minnetrista. Chuck, how long have you been living in this house?
The same house for over 40 years with my wife and son Joe, who also went to Mound High School.
What do you think of the city getting a new police department?
I'm 100% for it. As I say, I've been here for over 40 years. And I did tour. I took the time after I heard about this, took the time to go through our police department. And my gosh, what I did see there was really earth-shaking, how these guys are operating out of there. For instance, the lunchroom is also the conference room. Really, it's not large enough that they have a conference in it with everyone there. Plus, it's also the gun cleaning room. So here's a person having a sandwich, and the officer next to him is cleaning his .44 Magnum. I'd be a little uneasy eating that sandwich, I'll tell you. And the locker room, I looked at that. Little skinny lockers in there, no shower. There was a hall closet there. They had all this equipment in there. And I mean, this was sensitive equipment too, radar guns and radios and everything else. And it was just behind a folding door. And I said, what's that over there in the corner? He says, those are our sniper rifles. There isn't any place large enough to hide those in here. And that, to me, that's dangerous, having things like that.
People have been saying the taxes. They're all worried about the tax increase. How does that affect you, in your opinion?
Well, if you know me and my friends, they say I'm one of the tightest guys around. But I checked into that also. And our present building is going to have its mortgage retired. Now, that money then is going to be shifted over to the new building. So we won't have an increase. We're still going to have to spend money, of course, but no increase or anything. And hopefully, with the bidding and the way the economy is now, I think you're going to get a good buy on construction. Plus, I believe that the mortgage rate is going to be down, probably a lot better than what this existing building was at.
The goal of the City Council through this process was to look at designing a facility that not only met today's need, but would last for at least 20 years. And so there is some space in this facility that's going to be constructed, but be unoccupied at this time. So what we're trying to do is plan for the future, plan for future residents, that we are being very conscientious of our approach and making sure what we design today is a today need, and then plus being able to grow into it for the next 20 years.
I like the fact that they're planning for 20 years into the future. I've been involved with building projects for some nonprofits that I serve on the boards, and if you don't extend far enough in the future, you just waste money. I think that they have worked on the plan a long time with a lot of input from the community when people were willing to come forward, and that they've toned it down to something that is a reasonable cost. From the numbers that I have looked at and a couple of meetings that I've attended, I don't think there's any misrepresentation there. Of course, going into the future, we're budgeting. We're making the best estimates that we can based on growth. I don't see why Minnetrista's growth can't meet the projections that they're making.
And let's face it, Minnetrista is growing, and we have to grow with Minnetrista, both police and public works.
Keeping up with these cars in the wintertime, how is it?
We have about a 50% operational rate. Half of them are out at any given time in the winter. It's you can't keep the cars outside. We on emergencies yesterday, we couldn't get into the cars. The doors were frozen. There's no way to get in. We get calls. We have officers riding to in cars if we have to.
And as a resident, how does this affect you?
As a resident, I'm glad I am a CSO because I can take care of my house if I have to myself. But the residents should be a little concerned. We need to have 100% availability of all of our vehicles at any time.
Very important for a police department especially, but even the whole city government, for people to have some confidence that we're doing this properly and that we're really giving it some thought and doing the right thing. So that's one of the reasons we want to get this message out. Is you hear a lot of hype and hysteria about the project, and the truth is we've really been very careful with this, and we think it's a wise decision. We have a very safe city, and we enjoy a low crime rate. But the police are busy. We have crime like any other city, and they need a safe place to work. They need an efficient place to work. Our current building has some problems, and we've made do as best we can, but we need to do this right, and we need to think long term, and the plan really addresses that very well.
What do you think they're, what are they referring to, robbed? What do you think, what is your opinion on the whole robbery aspect of it?
First of all, that does not represent me, and I think that is just a misnomer when they say we are being robbed, and I don't think it represents very many people of Minnetrista.
We've been studying this issue for about 7 years, and they started studying this issue because even 7 years ago the city recognized that there was a need. Our community is growing, our staff is growing, and we're outgrowing our needs of our current facilities, to the point where we've been looking at trying to improve the aspects of our operations.
If you need the facilities, you need the facilities. That's the bottom line to me.
We're going to keep growing Minnetrista, and we need the people to back us up and protect us, I'll tell you.